I always hated the idea that if it's about a checkbook, you would succeed, because I'd never had a checkbook to spend like on gear. So I was always like, if it was about checkbook, I'm out.
Yeah.
So I spent the first part of my career with $80 in lights, and did what I did, and I've evolved to the point where I have more now, but I still go back to those because turns out they're hard to beat.
And you can recreate. You're a fashion photographer, right? Fashion commercial.
Fashion commercial, yeah.
Yeah. So you can recreate images that we see in fashion magazines with stuff that you purchase at Home Depot. We've done shots together that with stuff that we got at a Salvation Army. Right. So and you're still doing that and just sort of.
And today's setup, I mean, we have one shop light which was $18. I have a mirror that was $5 from Walmart. I mean, the most expensive part of this is the C-stand that's holding the stuff up. It's that easy.
So okay, that's Troy Miller right there getting in our shot. Hey, Troy Miller.
Since we're rolling, I'm sorry.
This is the man who put the show together right here.
Come down.
Speaking of DIY stuff.
Right. It's learning to manipulate and see the ones you want. A shop light puts out as cool of a light as something else. It may not be as commercially viable in a large environment, but it's all about it just depends on what the end goal is. Do I have strobes nowadays? I do, but it's because some of the commercial jobs just require it. There's just no way around it.
Okay, let's put a finer point on it. So if you are, say someone's watching this and they want to start doing headshots, which is basic portraiture for the most part. A lot of creativity involved in that, depending on where you want to take it, if you ask Peter Hurley or someone like that, right? But if they want to do that on a budget, they don't have all the money in the world, how do they start? First
thing I always tell people is find light, because I'm going to if I'm in an environment, I'm going to look for light that exists to begin with, because I'd much rather work off of the light that's existing than go into a dark room and try and recreate something. So number one is find the light. Number two is then figure out what you need to do to modify or enhance that light. In some cases, we're only dealing with, let's just say, a $20 reflector. Or if you want to go even cheaper, it's like a $20 8-foot by 4-foot panel from Home Depot that's reflector material. Works just fine. I cut it, I tape it off so it doesn't make a mess everywhere, and I have a reflector. If I want to take one step further, I can go into a shop light. Let's say it's $18. What I do is I use IV poles from eBay, which are $22. I get eyelets from Home Depot, which are 59 cents, and I put it on the $18 shop light, and I now have a rolling light. So if I have light on one side, I can fill it with the shop light, and I have a full setup.
That's crazy. Okay, so then, we've established that almost all photons are created equal, right? For the most part, it's just finding the light and being creative about how you produce those photons. One of the things that these larger manufacturers like, Profoto, et cetera, they stand on durability. Yes, they're creating photons just like everyone else, but if you're in production environments like this, you need gear that's going to take a beating, be able to pack it up, and throw it in the truck. It's still going to be there for the next shoot. How does that correlate over to DIY stuff? You break it, go buy another one.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll talk about camera flashes. So it's like I'm a Nikon shooter. I had Nikon flashes. A good Nikon flash is where are we at? $500?
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
So I moved to Nissan flashes, for $120. I get a flash that probably is equal on power output and consistency. It's fairly accurate in TTL, so like the Nikon, which I don't shoot in TTL for the most part, but I'm way more likely to not stress over that flash being in my bag and getting beat up than I am a $500 light.
Right. So, which is the name of the game, right? You don't want to be babying your gear, you want to beat your gear up and use it.
And even I tell people all the time, it's like if you're going to go into studio strobes, do an Alien B. A $400 Alien B can get you a massive way farther than the $2,000 kit. And at the Alien B, I'm learning on it. I'm not so stressed over it getting beat up or hurt. By all means, if the job dictated you getting $2,000 light for Profoto, great. But you can also rent it if needed.
What are optics though, right? So, a certain part of photography is theater. Right, where you're putting on a show for the client, you're putting on, in some cases the model, you want the model to feel comfortable and that you're not just some guy that's trying to take pictures of pretty girls. You're the ringmaster and you need to project an aura of expensive and professionalism. How do you do that with gear that's not shiny, glitzy, expensive looking, lights blinking and all this stuff?
I think in the beginning of what I did, it was a bigger factor that I was like stressed over, like, I'm gonna show up with this shop light, here sir. But the more I went along, the more I realized it's just about the final image. If I'm making great images and they're hiring me because of what they've seen, they're gonna go, well, he's doing what he's doing.
Exactly.
So I don't have the stress anymore of having to have this massive lighting or this big stuff.
Yeah. That was the answer I was looking for, because it's a lot of people think that, like with gear, if I show up with a big gear and giant lenses,
must be good.
Yeah, people will think I'm good, and they will. They will make the assumption, just like if you're walking down the street with a $5,000, $10,000 camera, people are going to assume
you know your stuff.
You must be good if you invested in that thing, right?
Sure.
But what you're saying is it's the work.
Absolutely.
So as a professional photographer, your work should speak for you, and when you show up with the stuff that you use to do what you do, there should be no question.
Right.
Like if you show up with a box of crayons, right, and that's how I create the art that you're hiring me for, then shut up, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. So, I mean, and I obviously now at this stage of the game have to take into account safety factors and expediency of doing what I do. If it fits the bill, good. Now, the great thing is I did shop lights for years, which were tubes, which were very fragile. Got LED shop lights now.
Yeah.
Those things I beat the heck out of. And I can take a portable battery now, like a Vagabond, I can plug that in and I have a shop light in a location that works easily.
Yeah, wherever you go.
And sometimes all it takes, and especially like when I'm indoors in bars or restaurants, all it takes sometimes is that little edge, and I can see it instantly, so I'm way faster on doing that than I am with strobes. If I do strobes, I'm like, oh, let's take a picture. I'm like, oh, not quite, let me keep moving it, let me keep working it.
Yeah.
Whereas I do this shop light and I can see it that quick.
Yeah, yeah. All right, if you could give the audience, or the people that are watching this, or your students that are here today, one tip to take away with them. I know you said find the light, but if you can give them like one sort of ironclad tip that they're gonna walk away and say, okay, they're gonna keep a Tim Engle on their shoulder for the next year, what would that Tim Engle be saying?
Don't be a dick.
D-bad, I like it.
No, and I say that because it's like over time, it's like, being part of the solution is the game.
Yeah.
I've been hired repeatedly because I'm easier to deal with and good.
Yeah.
I've had people tell me like, oh, I used to use so-and-so, but they were a jerk.
You're right.
So, and we're just taking pictures. I always feel like if you're being an ass, it's like, why?
Yeah.
I'm so lucky to do what I do, and I so enjoy it that there's no reason to like not be happy and have a good time every single day.
Love it. All right, people want to check your work out, see the stuff you're working on, maybe
yes, they
hire
do.
you.
No, they want to check it out and they want to hire me.
They do. Where should they go?
They should go to Engle Photo, and it's ENGLE photo.com. Engle Photo. Tim Engle on Instagram, or Engle Photo Inc. on Instagram.
All right.
And checks made out to the same.
That's where I make the checks out to?
Yes, thank you.
All right, cool. Tim Engle.
Good to see you.
You rock, man. Thank you. Thanks for not making me look bad. See the contrast here? This is a before and after. Look at that. All right, man. See you later.